Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy, and it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examinations. And about me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and I take up the analysis of the Hindu newspaper that is of today's 20th May 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the Hindu newspaper, wherein we will identify the factual, analytical, and the conceptual questions which will be critical for UPSC prelims perspective. And while you get into the mode of imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing for the mains examination, your answers for the mains will be precise and concise, and thereby you will score higher marks in the mains examination. So this session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will certainly help you to crack both prelims and mains for the year 2021. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we would be focusing at the quote of the day. And the quote of the day says that don't watch the clock, do what it does. Keep going. That means we should not just look at the time and then think that the time is just passing away. No, it is that what we need to do is we need to keep going. So do not watch the clock. Do what the clock does. It keeps moving. So even we should also keep going or moving ahead in our lives. And now we will look at the DNA of the newspaper, and here it is in regards to the privacy policy. And the center has told the WhatsApp that scrap the new privacy policy which it has come up, that is to withdraw its privacy policy 2021. And in regards to this, the Ministry of Electronics and IT has directed the WhatsApp to withdraw the privacy policy of 2021 because the way it has gone ahead with the changes and the manner of introducing these changes have undermined. So it has focused, that is the Ministry of Electronics and IT have focused at the WhatsApp privacy policy 2021, that is the changes and the manner of introducing these changes has caused a real concern, and it has undermined a few things. What it has undermined, we will look at. So it has undermined the sacrosanct values of the informational privacy. It has undermined the data security, and the new privacy policy 2021 of WhatsApp has also undermined the user choice for Indian users, and it has also undermined, or it has gone ahead with harming the rights and interest of the Indian citizens. So what is the crucial keyword is undermining. What? The privacy policy 2021 of the WhatsApp, as it has gone ahead with the changes and the manner of introducing, has undermined the four areas or four things. So these are the one which you can consider for being a part of a short note for the mains examination, that why the Ministry of Electronics and IT has gone ahead with directing the WhatsApp to withdraw its privacy policy 2021. And the government of India has also sent a notice to the WhatsApp asking it to withdraw the controversial update in regards to the privacy policy 2021, and it has also asked, or it has sought an explanation of the response from the WhatsApp, that the WhatsApp should be given to the government of India within 7 days. And then if the WhatsApp, do not respond or do not go ahead with seeking a response to the government of India, then the government of India would go ahead with necessary steps will be considered by the government of India, and these necessary steps would be taken by the government of India or would be considered by going ahead with various options available under the laws in India. So definitely the government of India is very particular in regards to the WhatsApp policy, that is privacy policy 2021, which it wanted the WhatsApp to withdraw it, or else it is asking a response to the notice given by the WhatsApp or the Ministry of Electronics and IT department to the WhatsApp, that it should respond to the notice given by the ministry, or else the government would take a appropriate or necessary steps under the laws of government of India. Why it would wish to take necessary steps? So that it would go ahead with taking under the laws of the government of India, so that the government of India would wish to fulfill the sovereign responsibility. So it is the government of India's sovereign responsibility to protect the rights and interest of the Indian citizen. Thereby, the government of India or the Ministry of Electronics and IT has gone ahead with issuing a notice or directing the WhatsApp to go ahead with seeking a response from the company within 7 days, or else necessary steps would be considered under the laws of Government of India, because the Government of India has the sovereign responsibility to protect the rights and interest of the Indian citizens. And the Government of India has also gone ahead with writing a letter, that is missive. Missive means writing a letter to the US headquarter firm, that is the WhatsApp. That is, the Ministry of Electronics and IT has reiterated in its letter to the US headquartered firm that the issue, or the why the Government of India or the Ministry of Electronics and IT has gone ahead with issuing a notice, and it wanted the WhatsApp to withdraw the Privacy Policy 2021, is based on the issue of discriminatory treatment. So this is the key phrase or the keyword why the Government of India has written a letter. And in the letter to the US headquartered firm, it has emphasized that it is the sovereign responsibility of the Government of India to protect the rights and interests of the Indian citizen, and the Privacy Policy 2021 of WhatsApp is also in regards to the discriminatory treatment of Indian users. So these are the keywords which you need to focus while you are making a point or a short note to the mains examination, that is in regards to the Privacy Policy 2021 of WhatsApp, and how the Ministry of Electronics and IT department has gone ahead with issuing a notice to the WhatsApp to make sure that it withdraws the Privacy Policy 2021, because as we have discussed, it is undermining the sacrosanct values of the information privacy, data security, user choice for Indian users, and it harms the rights and interest of Indian citizens. So definitely this is a short note for mains examination, that is in regards to the how the Ministry of Electronics and IT have gone ahead with the issuing directing or issuing a notice to the Privacy Policy 2021 of WhatsApp. And now we are looking to the another news, which is in regards to the NGOs. So with this news, we have been following since almost couple of days in our daily news analysis at AKSIS Academy. And now we will look at what is the latest information in regards to that. So when the NGOs across the country, we have seen that they have approached various courts, that is the Delhi court and also the Guwahati court. And there were various petitions filed by the NGOs in different courts in India. And the courts in turn have also advised or written a letter to the central government or the Government of India to respond to the petition filed by the NGOs in regards to the FCRA, that is in regards to the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2020. That is the amendments made in the years, that is September 2020, to the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which is the compulsory requirement as per the FCRA 2020 that the NGOs who would wish to receive the foreign funds have to have an account in the State Bank of India, that is the State Bank of India main branch of New Delhi. So that was the one which the NGOs have gone ahead with filing a petition. It was that, and now as per the response or to the petitions filed by the NGOs in the various courts, now the Union Home Ministry has extended the deadline for the NGOs to activate the account, that is the FCRA account in the SBI, that is a main branch in Delhi, which is a compulsory requirement for the NGOs to receive funds. And now it has been extended from March 31st to June 30th. So now the Union Home Ministry, because of the petitions filed by the various NGOs in various high courts across the country, the Union Home Ministry has extended the deadline for the NGOs to activate the accounts in the SBI at the main branch in Delhi, which the deadline was March 31st as per the amendment to the FCRA Act 2020, which was made in September 2020, and now the deadline has been extended from March 31st to June 30. So this is the information what we need to focus as per today's news or at Hindu, that the Home Ministry has now gone ahead with extending the deadline of opening the accounts for the NGOs to activate in the State Bank from March 31st to June 30. And now the central government has gone ahead with making an amendment of extending the date from March 31st to June 30, that is under or as per section 50 of the FCRA Act 2010. and there was an amendment made to this because they wanted to allow the NGOs to open an account with the SBI, wherein the deadline has been extended from March 31st to June 30. So June 30 or earlier to that. So what is the crucial information as a civil servant aspirant, that how the Home Ministry has gone ahead, that is Union Home Ministry has gone ahead with extending the deadline of March 31st to June 30 is under the section 50, wherein the amendments now allows the NGOs to open an account, which the deadline was earlier March 31st, and now it has been extended to June 30 or earlier. So this is again in regards to the FCRA, that is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, and this is again in regards to the receiving the foreign funds to the NGOs. And again, particularly we can again focus this news as per the internal security from prelims as well as mains perspective of GS paper 2. And now the Ministry of Home Affairs has not only going ahead with extending the date from March 31st to June 30, but it has also gone ahead with giving a relief to the September 30 to the NGOs, wherein it was as per the FCRA account, the NGOs have to go ahead with registering with the Ministry of Home Affairs, and once the registration expires, they have to again make sure that re-register them with the Ministry of Home Affairs. And September 30 was the date which was given the deadline for the registration of the NGOs, which was expiring between September 29, 2020 to May 31st, 2021. And now, rather than May 31st to 2021, now the Ministry of Home Affairs have gone ahead with the extending or giving a relief to the NGOs for the renewal of registration certificates, renewal of certifications or the registration of NGOs, which earlier it was May 31st, but it has been extended to September 30. So here there are 2 points which we need to focus on, the keywords, that is extending the deadline of opening an account with the SBI in the New Delhi from March 31st to June 30. And the another one is going ahead with renewal of the NGOs, which the deadline was May 31st, and now it has been extended by the Ministry of Home Affairs up to September 30, 2021. And we know that there were NGOs which have petitioned in the Delhi High Court and also in the Guwahati High Court, seeking a larger extension of 6 months and seeking court's intervention in operationalizing the foreign contribution accounts. But we know that the Ministry of Home Affairs did not go ahead with extending till 6 months, but it has only from March. It has gone ahead with extending it to June 30, 2021. That is opening an account in the SBI in the New Delhi branch. And the SBI also has gone ahead with making a press release, and it has said that there are in total 22,598 FCRA association, and out of that it is 17,611 entities which have approached the SBI for opening the FCRA account, that is Foreign Contribution Regulation account, wherein the NGOs have to register, and in turn, if it is expiring, they have to renew the registration and open an account, that is FCRA account with the SBI in the Delhi branch. And out of the 22,598, as per the SBI press release, it is only 17,611 association who have approached the SBI for opening the FCRA account. So this is at length we have discussed in regards to how the issue was in regards to the NGOs making a hue and cry that the foreign funds which have been stopped because of the FCRA Act amendment being done in September 2020 for the receiving of foreign funds to the NGOs from foreign companies or associations. And now there is another news in regards to the FM case, and here we would be looking at the keyword, that is PM CARES, that is Prime Minister's case. So that is Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situation Fund, and this was created, that is PM CARES Fund was created during the COVID-19 pandemic situation, that is last year. It was in the month of March, April 2020, and this now a petition has been filed in the Supreme Court that the activist, that is Saket Gokhale, who has filed the petition in the Supreme Court, is asking the Supreme Court to direct the PM CARES Fund to disclose the money it has allocated for the COVID-19 care. Please do understand here, this is an conventional which is again very linked to the application part of the PM CARES Fund. That how the petitioner, who is an activist, has filed in the Supreme Court asking the Supreme Court to direct the PM CARES Fund to disclose the amount that the PM CARES Fund or the central government or the government of India has allocated so far for the COVID-19 care. And the activist says that the PM CARES Fund has or should produce the details of the mechanism to monitor the progress of the various projects it has allotted money. So it wanted the PM CARES Fund to disclose the amount, not only to disclose, but to also to produce details of the mechanism in which the PM CARES or the central government is monitoring the progress of various projects wherein the money has been allocated to various projects from the PM CARES Fund. So please do understand the 2 points which the petitioner has filed in the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court to direct the Prime Minister's Citizens Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situation Fund to disclose the amount and to produce details of the mechanism, how it is monitoring the progress of various projects from where the PM CARES Fund, from the PM CARES Fund, the money has been allocated. And Mr. Gokhale, that is the activist, is urging the court to make the PM CARES also a party in the suo motu case on the COVID-19 management and its lapses. So definitely the activist has gone at an extra mile, not only just filing a petition and asking the court to direct the PM CARES to disclose the money and to also produce the details of the mechanism how it is monitoring the progress, but it is also urging the court to make the PM CARES a party in this suo motu case in regards to the COVID-19 management and its lapses. So definitely there is a petition which has been filed by the activist. There is a strong a point which has been raised by the activist Saket Gokhale against the PM CARES Fund, and he says that since the inception of the PM CARES Fund, the PM CARES has collected the monetary contribution from India, and as well there is contribution coming to the PM CARES Fund from overseas. And this also includes, that is the contribution to the PM CARES includes the salary contribution from employees and also members of the several Government of India ministries and also from various PSUs. So as he is making it very clear, that is the activist who has filed a petition in the Supreme Court against the PM CARES to disclose the money and to also provide the details of the mechanism how it is monitoring the COVID-19 cases. That it says that the PM CARES Fund, the entire money which is being contributed is from India and also various other countries, and it includes the salary contribution from the members of the several government employees and also from the PSU. So that is asking or urging the court to ask or to direct the PM CARES to disclose the amount. And he says that the application of the file petition which has been filed, he says that as per that allocation on May 13, 2020, there were 3,000 crores which have been contributed for the PM CARES Fund, and in turn PM CARES Fund has allocated to the COVID-19, that is 300 crores to COVID-19. Out of the 300 crores, the petitioner in the application, he lists that 2,000 crores are earmarked or it has been allocated for the purchase of ventilators, and then 1,000 crores for care of migrant laborers and 100 crore to support the vaccine development. So definitely the PM CARES Fund has allocated, as per the application or the petition which has filed by the activist, says that on May 13, 2020, 300 crores for COVID-19 care has been allocated, and out of that 2,000 for purchase of ventilators, 1,000 for care of migrant work, 1,000 crore for care of migrant laborers, and 100 crore for support of vaccine development. So definitely the petitioner is now asking the court or urging the court to also include PM CARES as a party, third party in this suo motu case in regards to the COVID-19 management and its lapses, because there is 3,000 crores of rupees which have been allocated by PM CARES in or on May 13, 2020 for COVID-19 care. And this is absolutely for prelims perspective, how the PM CARES, which is a temporary one, which has been created only to make sure that it takes care of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So as for prelims point of view, PM CARES is the one which is very important for the prelims perspective. PM CARES means Prime Minister's Citizens Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations Fund. And we will look at the another news in regards to international relations, that how both the countries, that is China and Russia, have come together, and they have come together to work on the nuclear plants. And in regards to the launch of the work on the nuclear plants, at one at Taiwan plant and the other one at Zudabo station, both Russian president and Chinese president, that is Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, have appreciated and hailed the close ties, cooperation between Russia and China while they were launching via video conference the work on Russian built nuclear plants. So this is the Russian built nuclear plants in China. So it is, we have seen China has gone ahead with the several infrastructure investment projects in various countries across the globe, and now when it comes, it is the Russia which is going ahead with the investments or going ahead with the work of nuclear plants in China. So definitely it is Russian built nuclear plants in China at Taiwan plant and Zhou station. And when you talk about the Taiwan plant, it is a one which has been built jointly with Russia and China, and it has been operating since 2007. And when it is in regards to Zhou station, it is still under construction. So definitely they have hailed or appreciate the close ties, especially because they are working closely on the nuclear plants, and it is a Russian built nuclear plants at Taiwan plant and Zhou state plant in China. And the Russian leader, that is Vladimir Putin, in regards to the Russian built nuclear plants in China, he has described that the nuclear reactors which have been built by China are powerful and they are modern. And he says that the nuclear reactors or the nuclear plants which have been built by Russia in China, they meet all the safety requirements and they are highest environmental standards. So definitely Russia is making it very clear that the Russian built nuclear reactors, they meet all the safety requirements and it is the highest environmental standard, and it is the nuclear reactors are powerful and modern. And he also said that the new plants will be functional by 2026 or 2028, and both the countries are prepared for further developing or further to develop nuclear power plants through joint construction. So it is very clear that both the countries are making it very clear that the nuclear plants construction or developing the nuclear plants will not stop at the Taiwan plant or Zhou plant or Zhou station, but it will go ahead with functioning through a joint construction even further also. And in response to the Russian President Vladimir Putin in regards to the nuclear reactors, Mr. Xi, that is the Chinese President Xi Jinping, has also said that the nuclear energy which is now between, or the nuclear ties between Russia and China, is a strategic priority for cooperation. And he has also called for more equitable, balanced, inclusive, open and shared global energy governance system. So these are the one which Mr. Xi Jinping has called for the nuclear ties between Russia and China in regards to the developing nuclear power plants, and he said that the nuclear energy is a strategic priority for cooperation. So this is a key phrase. And he says that the nuclear energy should be more equitable, balanced, inclusive, open and shared global energy governance system. And he says that there should be, or both the countries should play a constructive role in achieving global sustainable development goals. So these are the key words or the key phrases which you should consider as keynotes for the mains examination, that how the Russia and China energy ties are blooming, and both the countries are definitely hailing or appreciating the close ties in regards to the nuclear plants or developing the nuclear plants. So you need to look at the key phrases. What is that? Is meeting all the safety requirements, and they are all of highest environmental standards, and it is a strategy priority for cooperation, and it would achieve global sustainable development goals. So these are the 4 key phrases which you need to certainly make sure that it would include in your short note for the mains examination. And the keywords are powerful, modern, and more equitable, balanced, inclusive, open and shared global energy governance system. So these are the keywords and the key phrases which you should certainly make sure that they are part of your short notes for the mains examination in regards to the China and Russia nuclear ties. And now there is another news in regards to the finance minister has granted infrastructure status. So this is the keyword. So the infrastructure status is being granted by the finance minister for convention centers. So another keyword is which among the following has received the infrastructure status which is being granted by the finance ministry is convention and exhibition centers. So the finance ministry has granted the infrastructure status for exhibition and convention center, and this granting of the infrastructure status is a move that is expected, or this move would expect to ease the bank financing for the exhibition and convention projects. So what is the main importance of the finance ministry granting the infrastructure status for the exhibition and convention center is that it would ease the bank financing for exhibition and convention center. So this is the keyword. What is the advantage of finance ministry granting the infrastructure status for exhibition and convention centers is that these projects would have a easing of bank financing. And the Department of Economic Affairs, so which looks into it, it is the Department of Economic Affairs. Please do understand here it is the ministry and the department. This is a conceptual understanding. Ministry is finance ministry and the department is Department of Economic Affairs. So this differentiation you need to go ahead as a civil servant aspirant. So under the Ministry of Finance Minister, under Ministry of Finance, the Department of Economic Affairs has said that exhibition cum convention center is now included in the harmonized master list of infrastructure subsectors. So this is a key phrase. So Finance Ministry has granted infrastructure status for exhibition and convention centers, and in turn it is the Department of Economic Affairs who said that the exhibition cum convention center is now included in the harmonized master list of infrastructure. So that is the key phrase for the prelims and for the mains application part of it. That what is the necessity for the exhibition cum convention center being included in the harmonized masters list of infrastructure, and this has been done by insertion of a new item in the category of social and commercial infrastructure. So there is certainly a lot to be focused here from economy perspective. As a civil servant aspirant, that you have the infrastructure status, a keyword, and the another key phrase is exhibition and convention centers, and bank financing is the one which is the advantage of granting the infrastructure status of exhibition and convention centers by the finance ministry. And the other one is Department of Economic Affairs have said that the exhibition cum conventional centers have been included in harmonized masters list of infrastructure subsectors or infrastructure. So this is another key phrase, and this is now included in the subsector by insertion of a new item in which among the following category? It is the social and commercial infrastructure. So please do understand there are various keywords and the key phrases which are crucial, critical for prelims as well as mains perspective. So here what I would say which is very, very crucial is that harmonized masters list of infrastructure. This is the key phrase for prelims as well as mains perspective, and the Department of Economic Affairs have included the exhibition cum convention center in the harmonized master list of infrastructure in the category of social and commercial infrastructure. I will try to make you understand better by a chart, but here please do focus the keywords and the key phrases. Infrastructure status, exhibition and convention centers, bank or easing banks, financing. I reiterate once again, infrastructure status, exhibition and convention centers, bank financing, Department of Economic Affairs, harmonized master list of infrastructure, and social and commercial infrastructure. So please do consider these keywords and the key phrases for the prelims as well as mains. And now I'll make you understand, or I'll make sure that the understanding of the entire, that is in regards to the exhibition and convention centers being granted the infrastructure status by the finance ministry and the Department of Economic Affairs, included the exhibition cum and convention centers in the harmonized master list in the category of social and commercial infrastructure. Now we will have a better understanding of it. So now I have taken this for your better understanding, that is harmonized master list of infrastructure. So there is a key phrase as we discussed, that is harmonized masters list of infrastructure, and there are 5 main items in the harmonized masters list of infrastructure, and there are 33 subsectors in the harmonized masters list. Please do understand. Now you will understand it better. That is, it has been included in the harmonized masters list of infrastructure subsectors. How many subsectors? Yes, we have discussed. It is, you have 33 subsectors. And which are the main items in the harmonized master list of infrastructure? There are 5. So we will focus at the 5 main categories. So first one is transport, energy, water and sanitation, communication, and social and commercial infrastructure. So the 5 main categories are transport, energy, water and sanitation, communication, social and commercial infrastructure. And the Department of Economic Affairs have included the exhibition and convention centers in the subsectors of the harmonized master list of infrastructure in the category of social and commercial infrastructure. So you will understand now better. So this is the one. That is one of the category. The fifth one is social and commercial. So in the social and commercial, the exhibition and convention center list has been included in the harmonized master list of infrastructure of the subsectors under the category of social and commercial infrastructure, that is exhibition and convention. So this is the main understanding or the application or the in-depth analysis of the harmonized masters list of infrastructure. If you look at the newspaper, I will show you. This is the one. It is there. Finance Minister grants infrastructure status for convention centers. So this is one. But if you thoroughly analyze that, what is the grant by the Finance Minister? That is the infrastructure status to the convention center. So this is the one how you need to analyze that. You need to get into the in-depth analysis of what does that keyword harmonized masters list of infrastructure means or it consists. So it consists 5 main items or 5 main categories with 33 subcategories, and this was first notified in the year 2012 and it was amended on October 17, 2017, and now again the inclusion has been taken up on by the Finance Ministry, that is on May 19th, 2021 into the harmonized masters list of infrastructure. And when we talk about the fifth one, now what we need to focus is the fifth one. So the focus mainly focusing on the fifth one. Why? Because the exhibition and convention center has been included in the category of social and commercial infrastructure. So we will now focus on the social and commercial infrastructure, what it constitutes. So it has or it consists educational institution, that is capital stock, hospitals, again it is only capital stock. The third one is cold chain system. Now we have seen that convention centers along with exhibition centers, and post-harvest storage infrastructure for agriculture and horticulture produce is also been included in the category of social and commercial infrastructure. The sixth one is hotels, and the seventh in common infrastructure for industrial park, food parks, textile parks, special economic zones and agri markets. So this is the crucial information for economy. As I say, it is very critical for both prelims as well as mains perspective, because I have focused what is harmonized list of infrastructure, what does it constitute, how many categories, 5, and the fifth category is now included by the Department of the Economic Affairs, that is exhibition and convention centers have been included in the category social and commercial infrastructure. And we have also focused what constitutes the fifth category, that is social and commercial infrastructure, all this. So definitely it is an in-depth analysis in regards to the key phrase, called as harmonized masters list of infrastructure. And what does this harmonized list or the infrastructure status given by the Finance Ministry would make sure that it will benefit only the project which will have a minimum built up area of 1 lakh square kilometers, and this minimum built up floor area should be 1 lakh square kilometer, which should be exclusive for exhibition space or for convention space. Only when it is for the exhibition space or convention space or both, only then the Finance Ministry, which has been granted the infrastructure status, would be having, or which will definitely go into the mode of taking the benefit only when it has the minimum built up floor area of 1 lakh square kilometers. And if you look at as of now the major projects which are underway in this sector, that is in the exhibition space and the convention space, or definitely in regards to the the one which we are talking about, the social and commercial infrastructure sector, that is the part of it, we can see it only in two places, that is in Dwarka and in New Delhi. That is in Dwarka at International Exhibition cum Convention Centers, and in Delhi at Pragati Maidan as of now. And now we will focus at the keyword or the acronym MICE, which is again crucial for prelims as well as mains perspective. So when we were talking about the infrastructure status which has been granted by the finance minister to the exhibition and convention centers, now there is a necessity, because please do understand here it is E and C. So we would be focusing on the other two also now, MIEC, or to be more precise, the acronym MICE. Please do understand, that is convention and exhibition. So now in India, it is in regards to the convention and exhibition centers which are having its presence in India. But you do not have these two. What are these two? And in total, what does this MICE, which is C means convention, E means exhibition. Now we will focus that, and this is how you need to have a better understanding or an in-depth analysis of how we need to focus what is given in the newspaper and how we can really work out that no stone unturned for the prelims as well as mains perspective. So we have focused now in regards to the conferences or convention and exhibition, but now we will focus along with the conferences or convention and exhibitions which the finance ministry has granted the infrastructure status, which would ease the financing for that particular projects. Now we will look at the other one, that is meetings and incentives. That means MICE means meetings, incentives, conferences or conventions and exhibitions. And if you look at the one which is now prevailing in India, India does not have the large convention centers or a single halls which hold a capacity of 7,000 to 10,000 people. But we can experience that the convention centers or the single halls which can hold the capacity of 7,000 to 10,000 people at a go in Thailand. And Thailand is a major global MICE destination, and this is very important. That is MICE destination, and Thailand is a major global MICE destination. MICE means, as we looked at, that is meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibition. And India becoming a MICE destination can generate a significant revenue, definitely, no doubt, because several global firms will be active in India. But for India to become a MICE destination, it will take time to become a preferred MICE destination, as now the Thailand is a major global MICE destination. That is that wherein you can go ahead with having a single hall or a convention center with 7,000 to 10,000 people, wherein meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibition can take place, and wherein we can generate a significant revenue from the several global firms. And in regards to the government of India, in August 2020 has granted an infrastructure status to affordable rental housing projects. So we have seen in the month of May 2021, the government of India, that is Finance Ministry, has granted the infrastructure status to exhibition and convention centers. So as we have focused this now by this news, we are also getting into the mode of the government which has already granted an infrastructure status in the year 2020 or recent past in the year 2020 August is to the affordable rental housing projects. So this is another major prelims point of view which you need to focus, that in August 2020 the government has granted the infrastructure status to affordable rental housing projects, and in May 2020 the government of India to the finance ministry has granted the infrastructure status to exhibition and the convention centers. So please do focus on the two, that is exhibition and convention centers and affordable rental housing project, because The affordable rental housing project is the one which is a dream project by the government of India, that to provide housing for all, and thereby it has been included or given or granted infrastructure status to the affordable rental housing projects. So these are all crucial or critical for prelims. So we have looked at what is MICE, and Thailand is a Singapore global one, and then government of India has already granted the infrastructure status not only to the exhibition and convention centers in May 2021, but it has also granted in August 2020 the infrastructure status to the affordable rental housing projects. So this is from economy perspective, which you can focus. That is especially focusing on the key phrase, that is harmonized master's list of infrastructure. And I hope this session was informative, knowledgeable, and also critical for UPSC prelims as well as mains perspective. So I would say a very big thank you to all, and then good luck to you all. Do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule, and take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the AKS IAS Academy English Medium YouTube channel, and also have access to the website and the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy. And then see you again tomorrow with the daily news analysis at AKS IAS Academy. Till then, thank you, goodbye, and then take care.